My name is Josh Royd. I'm the conservation scientist for the Nature Conservancy in Maine.
I'm Daniel Morris. I'm the Deputy Regional Administrator for NOAA Fisheries Service, Greater Atlantic Region.
My name is Daniel McCaw, and I work for the Penobscot Indian Nation.
I'm Steve Koenig, Executive Director of Project Share.
My name is John Burrows, and I work for the Atlantic Salmon Federation.
My name is Landis Hudson, and I work for Maine Rivers. I'm the Executive Director.
Atlantic salmon played an incredibly important role in the cultural history of the tribe. For many years, the diadromous fish community in Maine was the main source of protein for the tribe in the spring. The tribe knew after many generations, going back to when the glacier retreated, they knew that in the month of May that all of these massive fish runs would come up the Penobscot River, and they could harvest them. And coming out of the long, cold Maine winters, it was very important for them to have a source of protein in the food that early in the springtime.
And I think that in terms of their importance to our culture and our society, they're just a wonderful species. And when I look at all the rivers around Maine that used to have Atlantic salmon or that should have Atlantic salmon, I think it's possible to bring them back.
There are biological reasons, there are cultural connections to Atlantic salmon, and there's an innate sense in an appreciation of the wild, and this is a vestige of it that we're trying to preserve.
Atlantic salmon are important because they are a keystone species. They tell us a lot about the environment. So they tell us when the waters are getting too warm for them, and they tell them when their habitat is degraded or inaccessible because of barriers. So if we bring back salmon, we can be somewhat confident that we can bring back conditions for other species as well.
They were a fish that was highly sought after, was used for immediate consumption. They dried them, they smoked them, they used them in ceremonies. So it's incredibly important to the tribe, not only for sustenance and survival at a crucial time of the year, but also it was a gift. The salmon were a gift from the Creator that sent them in to sustain the tribe at that important time. So the tribe is very much intertwined with the history of Atlantic salmon and the Penobscot River.
There's a personal sense of responsibility to maintain the species and help them survive, because we realize that extinction is forever, and we're charged with fending that off. And so we put a lot of hard work and heart into that task.
You have the attitude that something like an iconic species like salmon is an indicator of what we're doing to the planet. Again, that's not a share view, that's my personal view. And with the loss of species, it's like the canary in the coal mine, that what we are doing to the planet, which in turn affects us, whether you're rural Maine or downtown New York City, we are members of this planet also.
My hope is that with Atlantic salmon being listed as a species in the spotlight, that more people around the country and around the world will take notice of this animal and its beauty and its complex life history, and get a better understanding of what we humans can do to help restore the habitat that makes them thrive.
Salmon are terrifically important, and we know that generally what you do in terms of improving access to habitat for one species will tend to help another. So while there are more efforts specifically on salmon because of their status, it helps kind of lift up the potential for some of the other species. So it definitely brings more attention and more resources.
Species in the spotlight, the idea of the spotlight, I like that, because we're really shining a very bright light in a dark room on something that we want everyone to look at. Hey, look over here. That's why they call it a spotlight, or species in the spotlight, the whole idea. So what I'm hoping it will do is not only bring more attention, not only will it help educate the public, but with any luck, it will bring resources here. Resources to reconnect the habitat, resources to restore the habitat, resources to fight for gains in the hydro relicensing process, And hopefully, with National Marine Fisheries Service, having the courage to do that, to pick a species that we are right on the edge, and a contentious species here in the state of Maine.
200 years ago, people were clamoring. They understood that dams were being built and dropping the population of returning fish. So people today look and say, oh, well, this is the world that we live in, and it's always been exactly like this. And it's not true. We've changed it a lot. And what we see today is really only a fraction of what we should be seeing. So I think the hardest part is changing people's mindset and giving them a concept of what some of the vibrant populations of these sea-run fish used to be and what they could be with good restoration efforts.
In order to restore the Atlantic salmon, I think the next thing we have to do is figure out where the most important areas to restore habitat are. Because if they're stressed throughout their range, I think we need to make the habitat that we can control, the inland streams and waterways and their headwaters, as accessible and free from barriers as possible.
People think about the kind of impact that they want to have on the world for the coming generations. It's very exciting for kids to get out and learn about eels and alewives and different diadromous species, but it's also important for their grandparents to think about the kind of world that they want to leave behind.
We need to leave a legacy for our children. We need to leave a legacy for our children's children. And the time is now. We put them on the endangered species list to prevent them from going extinct. Can we do that? Boy, I really hope so. But we got our backs against the wall. I've heard it said many times by top biologists here in the state of Maine. The salmon are on life support. If it wasn't for the hatchery system, the salmon probably would have blinked out 25 years ago. Potentially. Scary. Scary to think.